AITA for banning my sister's boyfriend from our apartment?
I am not Oop. Oop is you, bicolored prism. She posted in our Am I the Asshole? Your daily fun fact to prevent spoilers on mobile. You, Terrap1 requested ring-tailed possums. These animals are found in Australia. And their back feet are syndactyl, which means they have 2 or more digits fused together. This helps them climb. Their tail acts as a 5th limb. Trigger warning. Threatening behavior in the middle of the night. IDK. How else to phrase it? Less than. Mood spoiler. Things are looking positive. Less than. Original post. January 7th, 2023.
Please help, because I really feel like I'm being made out to be crazy. I, 27F, share an apartment with my sister, 19F. Let me preface this by saying that I am the only one on our lease, since she is not old enough. Our complex says you have to be 21, so right now she pays less than half the rent in exchange to stay here, which is around $400 out of $955. She doesn't pay for anything else, bills, utilities, etc. 2 weeks ago, after having an argument with our mother and I over not helping pay for other utilities, cleaning up messes, generally being a not great roommate, my sister left the apartment and went to visit her boyfriend, 19M, at the bakery where he works.
He and I have had disagreements in the past about him smoking, not tobacco, in our apartment, which puts me at risk for eviction, and over him leaving messes and trash around when he comes to visit, where he normally stays for a few days at a time. After this disagreement, however, I received a text from him after midnight telling me that I needed to call him to talk. I didn't answer, because I was upset myself and I've not one to be confrontational, especially when I'm not calm. He arrived at my apartment with my sister. It was after 1 a.m. at this point. I was in bed, lights off, in pajamas, when he began pounding on my door. Before I even answered, he opened it and was in my room, yelling at me about letting my mom come between me and my sister.
I was already shaken at that point. My door doesn't lock, so I was already very caught off guard, and I was scared. I told him that it was something between my mom, my sister, and myself. Not him. He stormed into my room and tossed his key that my sister had given to him onto my nightstand, told me to have a nice effing life, and slammed my door shut again before I could even answer. I told my sister I didn't feel comfortable with him coming to our apartment anymore. It's been a week, and she and I just had our first fight about it tonight. I held my ground and said I didn't want him over. She says I'm irrational and being selfish, and that I'm destroying her mental health by banning him, but I really don't feel comfortable, and technically, and legally, it is my apartment.
AITA? Relevant comments. Why doesn't your door lock, and YTF does he have a key? For some reason, my bedroom doesn't have one. It's the master. And my bathroom has one. But not my bedroom door handle. Hers does. But up until now it hasn't been much of an issue. I can't replace the hardware, but I think I'm going to look into one of those portable locks. Regardless of what happens. And he had a key because my sister got one made for him. Which she had mentioned to me briefly that she was thinking about it. And I said that I wasn't comfortable. But when he would stay the night and she and I would both leave for work, he would stay behind and have no way to lock the door behind him. That was her reasoning after I confronted her. January 8th from Oop. I appreciate everyone's comments. It's definitely reassuring to know that I'm not the one being irrational. She moved in with me at 17 because she kind of acted the same way. Not with a boyfriend, but with the not helping, making a mess, gaslighting, and etc. with my mom, and my mom had enough. So I let her move in with me, and my mom went to Florida. She was visiting when we had the talk that spurred it all. The biggest issues are that it's going to be astronomically difficult to afford the apartment on my own if I make her leave. And she's still my sister. I still love her. I told her I wouldn't just abandon her or throw her out on the street. But I know she'd either have to move in with her dad almost an hour away because she can't afford a place of her own. I guess I'm just feeling torn between giving in so I know she'll be safe and housed, or standing my ground and being another person that turned their back on her. Oop is voted NTA. Update. Same post. January 14th, 2023. Thank you for everyone that commented. It really made me feel heard and understood in the ways I needed to. I ended up telling my sister she needed to stay with her dad for a few days while I thought about what needed to be done, and that if her boyfriend showed up at any point, whether I was there or not, that I would call the police as it was considered trespassing. I don't think she expected that, and I think it really drove home the fact that she really might get kicked out over this boy and that, for once, I wasn't going to roll over. After 3 days, she asked if she could come over to talk and apologize. I allowed it. She apologized, said that she'd pack his things at our apartment and give them to him at work, and that he wouldn't come over again. I pointed out the fact that we've never really had an argument where I've put down a hard boundary and kept it, and when I finally did, she acted like a brat. So I made sure to address that she's been selfish with accusing me of hurting her mental health, while ignoring mine. For now, she is allowed to stay with me again, but she and I are both looking for separate apartments. My lease is up in July, so at least I have time to look. Again, thank you everyone. This was a huge wake-up call, and I'm going to try and be more assertive about my own safety and well-being from now on.
Lots of love. Oh boy. Little sister is probably going to end up in an abusive relationship, from the sound of it.
AITA for wanting to feel safe in my apartment. Have a nice effing life is a weird thing to say. Not sure what he thinks his role is in OOP's life. She would have been okay to ban him for smoking, since it's not allowed. Anything else is icing on the cake. And he expected her to call him after midnight to talk about it? Unless someone tells me it's an emergency, I'm not picking up the phone after 9 p.m. He seriously couldn't wait until the next day? That's actually really scary that he thinks he had the right to barge into a room and in an apartment that he never has lived in. My sister's husband is a bit similar, that he initially refused to give us back the key that he made a copy of without telling us. When my sister finally moved out, he dared me to fight him for the key when I was 8 months pregnant. There is another update on the original post. The sister snuck the BF in and Op ended up kicking her out. Op said that she wasn't apologetic. Some people never learn. I know someone is going to run to downvote me because when they were 19 they were different. But generally speaking, there's nothing like living with a newly minted adult who hasn't yet figured out that her roommates aren't her parents and therefore don't want to clean up after her. There's a new update. Op. She let him back into the apartment while Oop was at work, and Oop kicked her out. Hopefully, for good. It's a long time until July. I sincerely hope that Oop is able to avoid her sister's girlfriend until they can move. I can't imagine being almost 30 and letting a child bust in my house and try to tell me anything without getting his ass beat. I hope Op has invested in some form of door lock for her bedroom, even if only a wedge to jam under bedroom door. See, this is what happens when older sibs don't put foot to ass with their younger siblings early and purposefully. They get out of pocket, test boundaries, and get disrespectful when they get older because they think older sib cares about them in the same way the parents do, when they usually don't. There's no way in hell that I could behave like that because sis isn't letting any of the above slide. There's definitely no way me or my boyfriend would have come out of ambushing her in the middle of the night unscathed. We'd both be leaving with busted lips at minimum for having the audacity to run up on her like that. BF would have come to understand from experience that calling the police would be for his safety. Otherwise my sister would send him and me back to God for the disrespect. Maybe not me, since she'd need someone to help her get rid of my BF's body after she ended him. I know she loves me with everything in her, but she wouldn't tolerate this level of disrespect from me or anyone else. She's kinda scary now that I really think about it. I have to remember that not everyone has an older sibling that would gather them in ways that aren't appropriate for parents or other adults too. Clearly OOP's sister skipped running the sibling gauntlet, and it shows in her behavior. Her explanation of the incident was really poor. It sounded like the guy opened the apartment door because it wouldn't lock. My WTF face was at 11 when I read that.
Mom failed on all level.
OHEII know. Oop needs to change the locks and let the apartment manager know. Because for all they know he might have copied the key. Seriously, when people behave like him you always change the locks as fast as possible. Well, I'm glad that she stood her ground and Lil Sis understood her peril enough to apologize. I know this isn't the point of the story, but $955 for a 2-bedroom apartment? Damn, I want to know where it is that cheap. My last studio apartment $1,250 when I moved in almost 13 years ago. Well, that was terrifying. I hope that Oop sticks to her guns and doesn't allow her sister to move back into her place. She should also get the front door lock rekeyed and add a security system. Little sis has no respect for boundaries and is not to be trusted. BF is a menace and sounds like the type of lowlife who would go for revenge. I want to know where this magical land of $955 2-bedroom apartments is. Standing my ground and being another person that turned their back on her. It's not turning your back on someone when all they've done is mooched off you.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. EpicAriaCast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.